Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Well, live on my YouTube channel, Keep It in the Ring. This is Rich Mancuso, as always, for this Thursday evening, February 13th, 2025. Welcome in, everyone. Keep It in the Ring, your source of combat sports. My YouTube channel, like, comment, and subscribe to Rich Mancuso, String Punk Entertainment, AGT Network, and like the Keep It in the Ring page on Facebook. Many of you do. I want more of you to do it. I appreciate that very much. Also, my social media handles. Scroll to the bottom throughout the hour ahead. X, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. You also can find me on Instagram and read my latest content, especially boxing, on LatinoSports.com and String Punk Entertainment and wherever else you can find me. And on Latino Sports right now, still, the analysis of this Canelo Alvarez, Jake Paul situation, which we're going to discuss, and also Juan Lopez's son fighting at the Garden tomorrow night. So this hour, we'll be talking about all of this, including Canelo. He has a new strategy. Jake Paul, not thrilled about it. We'll get into that. We'll talk about this top Rank ESPN supercard at the Theater at Madison Square Garden tomorrow night on Valentine's Day, and how ESPN and Top Rank appear to be parting ways after 7 years. We'll have more boxing news, the analysis, the recaps, the MMA news, some of that, Strickland and his defeat over the weekend. WWE into WrestleMania season. We'll get into that more as we go into the Chamber. Next PLE event on March 1st up in Toronto. And AEW Grand Slam coming up Saturday night after the NBA All-Star Game. Nostalgia, much more. Thomas behind the scenes, once again, handling the controls. And we want you to comment as well, and we'll try and get as many of those comments in as possible. This is Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. Let's get to it. Well, the week was very, very, not traumatic, but with the Canelo Alvarez, Jake Paul situation, and Jake Paul, well, he's not thrilled about what happened, as you know. He had a fight set with Canelo, supposedly, then he's not. And then if you saw it on social media, we'll also replay it for you. Here's Jake Paul's response. Run it, Thomas.
Oh, Canelo, you
this YouTuber. I just fight real fighters.
Time to expose them. So we had a signed contract to fight. Here you can see Canelo's signature and my signature to the right. Claiming he's not fighting YouTubers. Bullshit. Look at the poster. We were announcing Tuesday, February 11th. Claiming he fights real fighters, but he's fighting Crawford, a 135-pound fighter, and running from a real fighter like David Benavidez, you bitch. The truth is, you can be bought. You're a money-hungry squirrel chasing your next nut. The truth is, these sports-washing, shady characters are paying you hundreds of millions of dollars to stop our fight from happening because they couldn't fathom the fact that they can't create a bigger fight than me and you. Al Heyman has made you hundreds of millions of dollars, and you turned your back on him for this check. Disloyal. And you were begging to do this fight on pay-per-view. But I have loyalty. Loyalty to Netflix, doing the biggest numbers. And you call me a YouTuber, but you've never had a boxing match as big as mine. Remember you told my team that your daughter came home and asked if you were fighting Jake Paul? She was all excited. You said that was the first time your daughter's ever asked you about a fight. And you're screwing over all your Mexican fans by doing your fights in Saudi. It just shows what type of person you are. And I promise you one thing, Canelo. Any fight that you do this year, mine will be bigger. So off to your boss, you Ring Magazine employee, you pink and orange bitch. And oh, fix that herpes on your lip, you dirty
Folks, that wasn't show and tell. That's reality, and Jake Paul's upset. Can't blame him in a way, as much as I don't respect what he's doing for the sport. In some ways, he's good for the sport. And the Canelo Alvarez fight, obviously, with Jake Paul, that apparently was set in a span of 24 hours, went out the window. And obviously, Jake Paul's upset because that was Netflix money. Of course, he made a lot of Netflix money. With you, the viewers, watching him fight Mike Tyson in November in that scripted event, as I will say. So that's out the window, and Jake Paul's not looking good right now with Netflix. But Canelo Alvarez, he always looks good. maybe not so much here what he's decided to do. In a span of less than 24 hours, Canelo went with the money. And to his advantage is always the money. He's a billionaire. And he would have made even more money probably fighting Jake Paul than his next opponent for the IBF part of his 168-pound titles, William Skull. That happens in May, Cinco de Mayo weekend. But, for Canelo, he'll fight who he wants. And when he goes with the money, as the Turk guy gave him in Saudi Arabia, a 4-fight deal, Skull first, the big one with Terence Crawford in September. And that's the one everybody been buzzing about. That's going to happen. Of course, Terence Crawford will have to move up 2 weights to 168. And then 2 more in the new year. And then, he runs out of opponents. So here's Jake Paul's response. Run that back again. Paul and MVP Promotions made a statement. It said, Canelo's not going, that he's not going nowhere, Jake Paul. MVP will disrupt will disrupt the boxing business. That, to me, disturbed me, making a statement like that. And he said everything would be on their terms and they're going nowhere, despite the fallout of Canelo Alvarez fighting Jake Paul. So this, to me, was all about the money. The Turk guy wanted to put Canelo on the contract to be part of his money, and Canelo goes with the money, and Canelo's going to make an awful lot of money fighting a 4-fight deal, which probably be the tail end of his career. So instead, he gets William Skull first on May 4th, then Terence Crawford. The thing is, Jake Paul made reference to that Canelo was slapping the face of all his Mexican fighters and Mexico and all. You know what? In a way, that might be true, but for the first time, Canelo is going to be fighting in Saudi Arabia more than once. Usually it's the MGA Grand in Las Vegas as his home, where he's been very popular, always sells out, does all types of gate records himself, and of course he's the all-time right now pay-per-view revenue leader among fighters in the sport. Fighting in Saudi Arabia, 4 fights, 2 next year. What do you think? Did Canelo make the right decision? Is this all about the money? Like, comment, and subscribe here to me, Rich Mancuso, here tonight and on my YouTube channel. So we do, though, get Canelo and Terence Crawford. And his legacy is not tarnished. I felt if Canelo was fighting Jake Paul, if you read my comments and words on latinosports.com, Canelo fighting Jake Paul would have tarnished his legacy that he's built so well. Even though many is saying he's handpicking his opponents, he gets William Skull in May and will no doubtably win that fight to once again have all the titles at 168. Let's face it, William Skull is not that worthy of opponent for Canelo Alvarez's titles, and the IBF title basically was granted to him. This is the fight we want to see. Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, always in the top 3 discussion as best pound for pound in the sport. And they'll do it. They'll do it in September. It's way off, months ahead, but it's going to be the mega fight, no doubt, of the year. And Canelo will probably come out. He will, no doubtably, against William Skull. And Crawford, who hasn't fought maybe once in the last year, and at 154, we didn't look that great. Well, now he's going to make an awful lot more money fighting in Saudi Arabia, who the Turk guy wanted also, against Canelo Alvarez. In fact, Terence Crawford has been posting all over the place. He's now weighing this on the scales, 196. He says no problem. He can reduce that in no time. And you know why he's at 196? Because he's got the build to be at 168. So he's testing the waters now, Terence Crawford, at 168. That's going to be September 13th in Saudi Arabia against the great Canelo Alvarez. And the question is, will it be on the Zone pay-per-view? Not the PBC. That's the question. Where will it be seen? Probably on the Zone pay-per-view. Canelo has done business with them before. It's not going to be on PBC, Amazon Prime. Canelo basically said, I don't need you, PBC. I got the Turk guy. I got Saudi Arabia, the kings and princes. I'm going to make a lot of money. I don't even need Netflix. And believe me, he will make a lot of money. Probably in the amount or close to what he would have gotten in a fight with Jake Paul on Netflix. That remains to be seen. That's just my opinion. So, after the Crawford fight and 2 in the new year of next year, could he be eyeing Canelo Alvarez a fight and rematch with Dimitri Bivol at 175 for his titles, or back at 168? Bivol, who's trying to get the championship back, he will try next weekend in Saudi Arabia against Arturo Bertaviv. Will Bivol fight Canelo at 168 or 175? Questions to come along as we move along in boxing, where there's always controversy. This being the latest one, a lot of drama that created a lot of buzz and a lot of headlines in boxing the past few days. So the ending here is the Turk guy wins. Canelo Alvarez continues his legacy. William Skull, no doubt, as I said, will win. But Jake Paul, who claims to be the best in the world, moves on in his claim to be the best of all the fighters out there, which isn't true at all. And had he fought Canelo Alvarez, he might have been demolished. That's my personal opinion. But then again, folks, this is boxing. Things like this happen. But Canelo Alvarez, to many, still is the face of this sport. Can be disputed. He does what he wants. He fights where he wants to fight, picks his opponents, and now he's got the Turk guy with the money, the kings and princes in Saudi Arabia, where he'll get paid more money than he ever did before. He felt he didn't need Jake Paul. Jake Paul felt he needed Canelo Alvarez with Netflix. That's what it comes down to. The almighty dollar in the sport of boxing, where the money reigns besides all the champions and Alphabet Soup organization. Thank you, Josh Sanders, for commenting. Jake Paul needs to fight better competition to make a better case for Canelo's payday. I agree. And the question is, would Canelo ever fight Jake Paul down the line? Don't rule that out. After this 4-fight deal in Saudi Arabia with the Turk guys, perhaps Canelo and Jake Paul will get it done, but nowhere anytime soon. All right, we move on and look at the latest on Teofimo Lopez. The Turk guy and Timo have a 3-fight deal. And he's now Teofimo on X is saying this. What fight would you prefer for the Ring WBO World titles? Unification against Richard Hitchens or the Ring WBO IBF unification belts? 64% of the people responded to Teofimo's posting on X and saying they would like to see him fight for the Ring WBO IBF unification. Teofimo wants to unify at 140. It doesn't look like he's going to fight Richardson Hitchens. It hasn't been set. There's a lot of talk and buzz about it. Teofimo's all over the place. He might even be in New York at Madison Square Garden Theater tomorrow night for Top Rank card. But Teofimo's also another one of those fighters that the Turk guy has in Saudi Arabia, where he's going to make an awful lot of money in the 3-fight deal, and he has to live up to expectations. According to the Turk guy and Teofimo, the next fight and more historic fights will happen here. Because the Turk guy is talking, and so is Teofimo, about a fight, his next one being at the historic Alcatraz prison in the San Francisco Bay Area. That's a museum now. And the Turk guy is talking about putting major fights in historic places. Alcatraz being one of them, with Teofimo Lopez. Turk guy told the ESPN maybe fights at the pyramids in Egypt, at the pyramids in Mexico or in Mexico, the Eiffel Tower in France, the Colosseum in Italy, where I've never been. That'll give me an excuse to go there. One thing we know for sure, the Turk guy in Saudi Arabia, who's the chairman of the Saudi Arabian Commission Sports Authority Riyadh season, one thing we're sure about the Turk guy and the Kings and Princes, they are getting the fights done. They are getting major fighters to come along. The promoters, again, as I always say, award him with their money, so they go there. And here's a case now, the Turk guy changing the perspective and whole scene of the boxing industry. He wants to do fights at historic venues, historic landmarks. Just think about it. Fights at the Roman Colosseum. That would be different. That's where you had boxing years ago, way before we were all born. He's talking about the pyramids in Egypt and in Mexico. The Eiffel Tower in France. Different, but historic. That's what's making the Turkey, plus all his money and the fights he puts on for the fans, so different from what we've ever seen before in boxing. So, Teofimo Lopez possibly fighting soon and in Alcatraz, not inside the prison. It's a museum, all right? But he could get the winner of Saturday's fight on the Zone. Big fight weekend coming up on the Zone, by the way. Jake Carrarell and Otto Barboza in Manchester, England for the interim WBO 140-pound title. A title that Lopez holds now is at 140 in the WBO he holds. So he would be the mandatory challenger, either one of these guys Saturday, to Teofimo Lopez's WBO 140-pound title. And his takeover for Teofimo is the quest at 140. And maybe his next fight will come against this winner Saturday, Jake Carrarell Barboza Jr., which should be a dandy on the Zone. We'll see about that. Let's turn our attention to a big fight card coming up tomorrow night at Madison Square Garden Theater. But first, we got to break the breaking news that came out also about that. Tom, put it up again. That ESPN Top Rank logo is coming to an end after 7 successful years. ESPN has made it known, as we all know, that they will be dropping Top Rank Boxing from their programming. A very lucrative 7-year deal with a lot of money involved, a lot of great fights over the years. Top Rank has lost a lot of their main stars over the years, including Teofimo Lopez, Terrence Crawford. Tyson Fury has been in the Top Rank stable, losing twice in his quest to get the heavyweight title from Alexander Usyk last year. So Top Rank ESPN will end their alliance after 7 years. But that doesn't mean that Top Rank is not going to have a streaming network. It's obvious. Will they end up maybe on Netflix? We don't know. Bob Arum has been quoted as saying that an imminent deal is coming, and it might even still be ESPN if they could get the two sides together. But ESPN claims they're losing money on boxing, even in the UFC, and their deal is up at the end of April. And, you know, ESPN has been going through massive cutbacks and layoffs with talent and programming. Bob Arum says he's welcome maybe to going on the Zone. And Eddie Hearn said that would be great. He's got the Zone, and that would match up fighters even better. And we mean Arum also would probably have to work more with the Turk guy in Saudi Arabia, and he's willing to do that. So it could be Top Rank going anywhere, even maybe Warner Brothers, Time Warner, TBS, or even Pro Box TV. That's been all the talk and speculation. But we know this, maybe before August or towards the end, that great 7-year relationship between Top Rank Boxing and ESPN comes to an end. And over the years on Top Rank again, Teofimo Lopez, Terrence Crawford, Shakur Stevenson, Tyson Fury, the three-division champ Lomachenko, who's out with an injury right now. They've had some great fighters over the years and some great fights we've seen, even on the streaming network, ESPN Plus. But that huge card that Top Rank brings to New York tomorrow night on Valentine's Day. Tomorrow night in the theater. And it's going to be a good one. It's a stacked card with some of the Top Rank prospects and a title fight. Let's run through it real quick. And this is going to be, I believe, a great lightweight title fight between Denis Berinchak and Kershawn Davis. You know, undefeated, 19-0, 9 KOs. These fighters obviously don't like each other. At the press conference yesterday and the weigh-in today, they had to be separated. Some type of brawl was ensuing, one following the other, uncalled for, but it happened. And in the end, probably after tomorrow night at the Garden, they'll hug and brace it out. You know, Berinchak is the champion. He weighed in today at 134.6. Davis, 134.2. So the weights are pretty even. It's 12 rounds for that lightweight title. Who had Borincek won last year. One fight last year, the split decision over Emmanuel Navarrete for the vacant WBO title. This is a lightweight division as well that includes Gervonta Davis, who fights Lamont Roach at Barclays Center in New York in about 2 weeks on March 1st. That to be on PBC Amazon Prime. A lightweight division that also has Shakur Stevenson, Abdulavov, Andy Cruz, the upcoming talented fighter, Terrence Farmer, Moratella. It's stacked. It's a stacked lightweight division. But this one will be just as significant as all the other guys I mentioned at the Garden Theater tomorrow night, 12 rounds. And it's also going to be, I believe, a fisticuff, meaning they're going to go at it because they don't like each other. We know that. Words are being said, and Thomas in a moment will come on, and he was at the weigh-in today, the press conference yesterday, the final one, and he'll fill us in more about what went on behind the scenes. The 24-year-old Krishan Davis is a silver medalist, undefeated at 12-0. An easy 4 minutes he had with Gustavo Lomas in November in his homecoming in Norfolk, Virginia. So he's gunned and ready to go back at it and grab his first title of his young career. One of those rising superstars with top rank. The main undercard is also spectacular. 10 rounds preceding Davis is the undefeated Xander Zayas, the guy you see always in my background picture every week. Zayas from Puerto Rico, the rising superstar against Slava Spomer, who's the number one WBO rated challenger. This is going to be a weight class of 153.2. They both weighed in just about the even weight. Of course, at 154, Xander Zayas wins this fight. Well, the feeling is that he will be ready for a title shot in division at junior middleweight at sometime this year. He's undefeated at 20-0. He's young. He's 22 years old. He's got everything. He's the future of the sport. He's shown that to date. And he'll get a chance to advance it even more with a win over Spomer at the theater tomorrow night in the Garden. Spomer's 20-0, 11 knockouts, 32 years of age. He's again ranked 11th by the WBO. His last fight in November, he had and won after a 13-month layoff. So advantage to Zayas here tomorrow night in the Garden. We'll be there, Tom and I at ringside. Of course, fill you in on the whole top rank card next week. Heavyweight Jared Anderson, he's returning and he's going to try and rebound tomorrow night after the first loss of his career last year. And Vito Melanicki Jr., 20-1, 12 knockouts, a 22-year-old, quickly rising up the ranks. He's moving to middleweight in this fight after starting his career at 154. He's won his last 12 fights after his first loss, says he will be at 160, and there he would be stronger sooner or later. And the lightweight prospect, Abdullah Mason versus Manuel Jones, who lost to Raleigh Romero, if you recall, recently. And the junior welterweight prospect, Delante, against Tiger Johnson, another exciting fighter that you'll see on the card tomorrow night. If you're not at the Garden Theater, adjacent to the main arena, it's still the Mecca. It's on ESPN. Catch it. And the middleweight, Nico Ali. Of course, Nico Ali Watch, the grandson of the great late Hall of Famer, heavyweight Muhammad Ali, back at Madison Square Garden again, where his grandfather, Muhammad Ali, had those epic fights in the main arena. And the pro debut of this guy, junior bantamweight, Romano Lopez, the son of the two-division title holder, top rank, says he's going to be the next Felix Trinidad or Miguel Cotto in their stable. Of course, Trinidad and Cotto, Hall of Famers, top-ranked fighters that went on to championship. Of course, Cotto, the first four-division champion from Puerto Rico. And Romano Lopez, of course, is an Olympian of 2024. He is also very much reminiscent of his dad, who'll be there tomorrow night rooting his son on. Read my column about this young man, Romano Lopez, at latinosports.com. It's up there now. Get the inside info on him and why he became a fighter and why he loves it so much and how he admired Cotto in Trinidad and knows him real well in Puerto Rico. They were always around each other, and his dad has been a big influence on his career, going to his first pro fight tomorrow night at the theater at Madison Square Garden. Well, we throw the punches now. We look at Ryan Garcia is very quiet. And that's because he's preparing for his comeback after the suspension against Rolly Romero in April at some point. So Garcia hasn't been active on social media, whereas Teofimo has become the new Ryan Garcia. Josh Taylor, the former champion, 140. According to Frank Warren in Queensbury, he's moving to 147 welterweight, where Gerard Boutsenis is the champion that everyone is gunning at to try and get his title. Ennis, of course, wants to unify 147, has another fight coming up, title defense, Atlantic City on the Zone, Matchroom in April. Eddie Hearn is saying that Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, who had two epic great fights in the female division, they're headed to a trilogy after those two great fights. That could be announced soon, but this time it will be fighting in Taylor's turf of Dublin, Ireland. And the unified WBA super welterweight champ, and we're talking about the Towering Inferno, Sebastian Fronturo, his first events will be against Rodell Booker, March 22nd, the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. No doubt that will be on the Zone. This weekend on the Zone, a lot of fights. You're going to see Catterell and Barboza on the Zone, and Manchester, England, 2 p.m. Eastern start, if you want to start your Boxing Day on Saturday. And WBO interim junior welterweight title, mandatory for Teofimo Lopez, will be the winner, as I said about that fight. And if Teofimo will be stripped of his title if he's not the mandatory, if he says he's not taking this fight, and Teofimo seems like he wants to make his fights now, just like a few other fighters on social media. But he has a mandatory. He has to have that mandatory. He's got to get it, the mandatory out of Cottrell and Barboza. All right, Barboza, 31-0, 11 knockouts, 33 years of age, from Los Angeles, coming off a controlled decision win over Sean McComb. Catterell has had 4 straight wins since his comeback and now has a shot maybe to fight for another title. The Zone also goes at 8 p.m. Eastern Saturday night. Oscar Durate against Miguel Moduna, who's replacing the late sub for Regis Prograis, who went out of this fight because of a shoulder injury. That at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. Durate was stopped in a fight, was supposed to fight against Prograis. Again, the shoulder has Prograis out. Durate, 28-2-1, 22 knockouts. The 22-year-old junior middleweight Mexican has won his last 2 since losing to Ryan Garcia in the 8th round KO back in December 2023. And super middleweight Edgar Berlanga, who will probably be at the Garden tomorrow night, the former top-ranked product, now with the Zone in his multi-fight deal. He's got a fight coming up, maybe not the greatest, after his Canelo Alvarez 12-round decision loss last year. And many said he wouldn't go the distance with Canelo, and he did. Undefeated Jonathan Gonzalez-Ortiz. That's the part of the multi-fight deal with Matchroom on the Zone, March 15th, from the Caribbean Royal in Florida, the casino in Orlando, Florida. Berlanga, of course, good puncher, 22-1, 17 knockouts. This could be a momentum builder after that loss to Canelo Alvarez last year for Edgar Berlanga. And former champ, junior welterweight champ, George Kambosos Jr. He returns March 22nd, also on the Zone. And you hear me talking Zone all the time because the Zone is the leading fight streaming network among everyone right now. Fights every weekend. They did like over 500 events last year with Eddie Hearn and others. This one, Sydney, Australia, will be Gamboza in his hometown against country David Jordan, 12 rounds. He needs that win, though, to get back in the mix. And then this one, a good female fight. Nicole Brown and the former. This is for a WBC title. It's Nicholas against Brown Morales. This is going to be a good female fight on that same card. And for a WBC female title, we look forward to that. Get this. Former heavyweight champ Vladimir Klitschko says he's returning this year to the ring. Why? Why is he doing it? Because a lot of other former heavyweights are returning to the ring. We saw this years ago with George Foreman, who fought like in 4 or 5 decades up until he was close to 50 years old. But now Vladimir Klitschko, who lost the titles to Fury, said he's coming back. I guess he realizes that in Kiev, in the Ukraine, that this war might be coming to an end, and it's time to get back to boxing. But why not? He's 49 years of age. Money will be there if he decides to return. He says he will. They all do. Even Oliver McCall, who's close to 60 years old. Oliver McCall has won 2 fights in a row at close to 60 years old on Country Box down in Nashville, Tennessee. Doesn't look great, but he's back. He's making a couple of dollars. Not as big as maybe, what we got now out there, but he's making some money. He's back in the ring, and he's won 2 in a row. Maybe I should make a comeback. You don't want to see Rich Mancuso back in the ring. I was 0-4 as an amateur way back years ago. That's another story. Bruno Suarez and Jaime Munguia, super middleweights, 168. Munguia and Suarez have their rematch from May 3rd. This is going to be in Saudi Arabia again, and it's supposed to be televised on ESPN, and that would be under the Canelo Alvarez, William Skull IBF title fight. Rematch of that fight. Cerise got the upset of the year last year in December, the 6-round knockout. And Munguia, homecoming in Tijuana, Mexico, was ruined. Upset of the year, knocked down of the rear, 6th round. Munguia was not Jaime Munguia. He's coming back for vengeance against Suarez, the Frenchman. The rematch May 3rd in Riyadh, season in Saudi Arabia, probably on ESPN. And heavyweights on the zone this past weekend in the UK. How about Chiozza dropping Otto Wallen for the unanimous decision win? He's got a major fight after this win. Is Chiozza says after this win, he's going after this win, and his next fight would be his last. He floored Wallen in round 9. And an eliminator for the IBF world title, believe that or not. And he's eyeing the winner of Joseph Parker, Daniel Dubois, fighting next weekend for Parker's Dubois' IBF title. But he says that it's coming to an end. One more fight after this. Hopefully he has another title again, and then he'll call it quits. And you know what? He looked pretty good if you saw that fight on the zone last weekend. He can still punch, still got some power. And we're headed to this next weekend. We'll preview it all on the program next week. As you'll see, it's not 2 weeks as we bring that poster up. It's the super card, the last crescendo. We're all waiting. It's next weekend in Saudi Arabia, zone pay-per-view. Bivol and Beterbiev, the rematch. We're also going to see Parker and Dubois for the heavyweight title, IBF version. Shakur Stevenson and Schofield, the 2 young superstars in the sport. And it's a combination of promoters working together. Eddie Hearn, Oscar De La Hoya, Frank Warren from Queensberry. The only major promotion or boxing promotion not involved in this is the PBC. They're not involved. They don't get involved with the zone. That's why. This is going to be good next week. We'll preview it more. We're all looking forward to the anticipated rematch for Beterbiev for the light heavyweight title, again, unification. And rest in peace. We lost a fighter this week, 28-year-old John Cooney, due to a brain injury. You know, when you go in the ring, boxing is that dangerous sport. And he sustained a brain injury. He was in intensive care after losing to Nathan Howells, bout stopped in the 9th round. This was his first defense of the Celtic Super Featherweight title in Belfast. He developed a brain injuries, was in intensive care. So we will say our prayers and rest in peace to the family and friends of a great young fighter. Too soon to go. But that's what happens in this sport, dangerous sport as it is. John Cooney, may he rest in peace. All right, let me bring in briefly my great handle behind the scenes, Thomas, great colleague, great friend, handling the controls again for me this weekend on Keep It in the Ring. Well, Thomas, you've had a very eventful last 2 days with
Yes,
Sean
I have.
Davis and Rockbeck, at the Garden for the lightweight title. Top Rank card's going to be great tomorrow night. But yesterday, the press conference, the final one, the weigh-in today. What's going on with these two? They brawled. I didn't know that animosity was that bad between the two.
I didn't know either. I mean, before the press conference that nobody knew about, I guess they didn't let anybody know until I think the last minute that Top Rank sent the emails when they were going to go to the photo shoot in the World Trade Center. So I guess it kind of started there, and
It's a build-up because
yeah.
what went on? Let's go back to yesterday. What happened at the press conference yesterday that got them to scuffle?
So basically, first of all, let me just bring this up. It was a weird and awkward press conference because it was delayed because Keyshawn came really late and they weren't live, so they were like stalling and stalling and stalling. Usually they put everybody up, they did it in different sets and they kind of timed out. So as he came in, they came in and the champ is here and the new they were yelling, screaming, and pretty amped up. And then as they came in with this box, and apparently they said that someone left a box of outside of Keyshawn's hotel room, and inside the box there was a note, which I can't quite remember what the note said, but it was bananas and watermelon, and they blamed Baranchek, that they said that he did it or someone in his team did it, and that kind of like built up the animosity. And Keyshawn basically was saying that now this fight is personal. So
Yeah, it is personal now, being what you tell me, because I wasn't there, you were, but I saw some of it on YouTube, the Top Rank YouTube telecast of both events. And I mean, it got nasty enough that they were separated in time. And today I even saw Davis running after him to the back.
well,
That broke everything up so fast.
because after the weigh in and they did the little stare down, Keyshawn turned first and Baranchik pushed him. And as you know, you've been in the press conference before, they have the little ramp there. So and then on the stage. So luckily he grabbed onto the ramp. So he pushed him behind and he would have fell. And then you can't really jump down because there's no room, you can hurt yourself. So he grabbed onto it and then he got up and he chased.
Lucky no one got hurt. And that usually doesn't happen at Top Rank pressers.
No,
That very rarely happens. I've never seen it because Bob Arum doesn't tolerate that bullshit.
no, he usually it's pretty good. But I will say this: I've mentioned this in other platforms. This is the second top ranked card in a row here at Madison Square Garden where there's been some sort of issue in the hotel. So the last one they had was in September, Michaela Mayer against Sandy Ryan, and Sandy
Right.
Ryan got the paint thrown at her,
Right.
in front of the hotel. So not sure what's going on. They got cameras. They can see who goes in, who drops stuff, who does that. Let's make good use of it and let us know. Find out who's doing these things and dropping.
Yeah, maybe they need to
packages.
separate the fighters and put them in different hotels. That's what they may have to do. I mean, the big superstars over the years with Top Rank have always been in different. They don't stay where the undercard fighters, the prelims guys are. They've always put them in places secluded where we didn't even know where they were and had no access to them. Us being the media. Tom, how do you size up this fight briefly tomorrow night? Davis and Baranchek. Baranchek weighed in today at 134.6. Davis 134.2. Pretty even in the weight category, though. There is a definitely height advantage here that goes against Keyshawn Davis, isn't it?
No, Keyshawn is taller.
Is taller. That's what I meant.
Taller guy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So
how are you sizing this up? Does Davis get his first world title?
I think Davis gets his first world title, and I think at first I thought I was going with Davis unanimous decision in a good competitive fight. But now after watching the weigh-in and seeing how good Keyshawn looked and how motivated he was, let me tell you something. In weigh-ins, a lot of fighters they get out of there quick. Keyshawn Davis and maybe and the other fighter that's fighting Xander were the last two to leave, period, way after the weigh-in was over. So he felt good. He wasn't in no rush or anything. That tells me like he's ready. That he
Yeah.
didn't really kill himself to make weight. So I
The
like
Zay,
Keyshawn to win by knockout,
yeah.
7th round knockout. That's my prediction.
Okay. It is the main event tomorrow night, Theater Madison Square Garden on ESPN with Top Rank. Zayas looked like a professor yesterday with those glasses in his
Oh
suit.
yeah,
I love this young man. I love him. He's
yeah.
right
Hold on,
there.
I
Right
forgot I
there.
had
I
the
love him.
close.
He handles himself so well. There you go. He looked like a professor. That's what I
Yeah,
didn't even look like him. Didn't look like a fighter there, Tom.
nah, yeah.
He wins his fight tomorrow night. Everybody expects him to 10 rounder. Does he get a title shot this year at 154?
Well, a couple things. So he did look good. His opponent is pretty solid too. I don't know if you noticed this. His opponent is trains with Roy Jones Jr. Heck of a fighter. Not so good if so sure as he's a heck of a trainer. But the guy's undefeated as well. They have similar records, both 20-0. The guy did look good. Came in, looked good at the weigh-in. Um, they did say at the press conference yesterday that Xander was going to get a title shot if he won this fight, and that pretty much he's going to get a title shot this year. So he
Yeah, I
is
think
ranked
in
number
that
one in a
division,
couple
that
of.
division is not easy because Sebastian Vidor's in it, Terrence Crawford right now, among the others. So that is tough. But I think Zayas is on his way. He already has a couple of alphabet soup titles, as I call them. I don't even know what the heck they are. I think one is the NABF, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I think he'll. The thing is, he's been going the distance his last few fights. Um, he might want to make a statement tomorrow night and get done of his opponent real early.
he may, but that's not the way he fights. It's in all honesty. So one thing I noticed also yesterday in the press conference, Xander doesn't really talk trash. He seemed like he was talking a little bit of trash yesterday. Like he seemed really
Really,
confident. Yeah. I can't remember
because he's
exactly
not
what he said.
like that. He's very
He's not.
subtle. He's not like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, he said, you're gonna see, I'm gonna make a statement. Like he was saying all the things, like all
Yeah.
the right things, but he did say a couple things that I was like, wow, like I've never really heard him say, talk like this. But um, I think this is going to be a tough fight. He's going to break. He doesn't have one punch knockout power. He's a strong fighter. He can stop you and knock you out, but
Yeah.
he more of like he'll beat you down and break you down. So I like
Who
Xander.
else? Not to cut you short because I'm on the time, right? And you know that you're the producer. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Tom, who else should we look forward to seeing at the Garden tomorrow night at ringside? Because
I
that card is stacked with rising superstars in the top ranked stable besides the Lopez son. Who else to look forward to? Jared Anderson needs a win on his comeback after the loss.
Yeah, I
Heavyweight.
think Jared Anderson definitely needs a win. What's shocking is they have him second. So they're gonna open the card up with Nico Ali Walsh is gonna open up the event,
You
and
got to
then
get there early. There, and those prelims will be live on YouTube, Top Rank channel, and then they go to ESPN at 9 p.m. Go ahead, run down the
or
rest of the
ESPN
card.
Plus. They'll probably be on ESPN Plus, the
And
undercard. So
right,
so
right,
and
that's
then
right. Thank you
I
too.
don't know if you noticed it. You did mention this earlier, but I don't know if you know the Tiger Johnson fight got scratched because his opponent couldn't make the weight, so he pulled out.
No, I
Yeah.
mentioned his name, but he's not on the card, right? Also, who else was scrapped from the card?
Only that was the only fight. Tiger Johnson's fight was scrapped from the card.
Okay,
So it's nine
but
fights
it is
instead
a
of
good
10.
one. You got Abdullah Mason also.
Yeah, Abdullah Mason is fighting a guy, James, who just lost a unanimous decision to Rolly Romero. Strong guy, but pretty flat-footed. It should be exciting. The guy's got some power, but Abdullah Mason is just phenomenal. And we saw what he did in his last fight. He got dropped twice, flash lockdowns, came back and stopped the guy. So that should be a pretty exciting fight.
Okay.
I'm pretty pumped up for Juan Manuel Lopez's son.
I'm dying to
Juan
see this
Pita.
kid make his
Yeah.
pro debut. Again, my column on him on latinosports.com gives a little more insight about this young man from San Juan, from Caracas, Puerto Rico, well, Miguel Cotto's
Vargas.
hometown.
Yeah.
What did I say?
I don't know what you said, but it wasn't.
Well, you know what me names
I
have
know.
been names. I botched that one up, I know.
Yeah,
And all my Puerto Rican friends who I know well, and I go there, are just probably persecuting me right now, so my apologies. All right, so we'll catch that all tomorrow night. I'll be there with you at ringside. And what else? I think I had one other thing to talk to you about, but it'll come to me before we go off. Except fact of the week, put it up. You're going to do it with me
I'm
this
doing
week.
fact of the week. I got you. Hold on.
You got to get it.
Here we go.
There was a fact of the week, Tom. Listen carefully. You know, the boxing punches hard, and the elite heavyweight hits hard about, listen to this, 700 to 1,000 pound force. All right? Now, equivalent are those pounds of force to another sport, though a sport that uses a ball. Remember, a sport that uses a ball that's equivalent to 700 to 1,000 pounds of force. Now, this is a fact, not trivia, as you know. So can you tell me what the sport is the fact? And I'll tell you the exact poundage.
It's got to be baseball.
No. Wow. Baseball is a little less than that. But guy goes try 95, 100, but it doesn't come in at 700 to 1,000 pound force. You know what it is? A sport we both love and we both done. I can't do it as much as I used to, but I know you do. Bowling. A bowling ball. 13 pounds. That's the one I would use. 13-pound ball. Well, I had a nasty curve, by the way. At flying at 20 miles per hour. Yep.
Wow.
And that's why fighters are always protecting themselves and prepare for hard blows, because a heavyweight especially hits hard, about 700 to 1,000 pounds of force. Can you believe that? I come up with another stupid fact, right?
It's very interesting. I would have never guessed bowling. Obviously.
No, leave it to Rich Mancuso in Fact of the Week. Thank you, Tom. I'll talk to you before we close it out in about 20 minutes or so. We got to take a brief time out. This is Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. Get me here on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe to my channel, String Punk Entertainment, as well on my social media. Scroll to the bottom of the screen. Stay with us. Back, pro wrestling, some MMA, and the Rebel Rant is coming up. He returns this week live. Back in a moment. Just Keep It in the Ring. Stay with us.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
More Keep It in the Ring continues here. We're live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Me and Thomas, again this week behind the controls. Let's go to USC talk before we get to the pro wrestling. In Australia, in Sydney, this scene on ESPN Plus and pay-per-view, UFC 312. Their fight calendar continues in the octagon. Here we go. Duplessis breaks Sean Strickland nose in their rematch. The second win he's had over Duplessis. Unanimous decision this time. Last January, Duplessis won their January fight in the octagon via unanimous decision. They put on quite a show. It's the second win of Duplessis in a 185-pound fight. He's a good striker and on his way maybe to a bigger fight, which means more money in UFC. And we'll keep in touch about him. He's quite a striker, Strickland. And this young lady, Zhang we retained the Women's Strawweight Championship. She dominated the previously undefeated Tiana Suarez, unanimous decision. She's 26-3. Zhang, 14 of 15 takedown attempts, defending those attempts, and she outstrikes Suarez 251-61. That's how talented she is. Alexis, by the way, Strickland's next opponent could be Alexis Pereira. That was discussed after his win over Duplessis this weekend. All right, the pro wrestling talk. We're in WrestleMania season, and then we'll get to the Rebel Rant with Robbie Rebel. Roman Reigns, right now, we don't know where he's headed. There is talk WrestleMania, maybe CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Reigns, the three of them going at it as a WrestleMania event, or even with Cody Rhodes. The WrestleMania card is still being talked about. Nothing set in stone, except we know this. Cody and Cena is very strong possibility in Cena's final run in WWE, his retirement tour. We know this also. Jey Uso and Gunther for the world title. That all transpired this past week. We knew this was coming, and then now it's set for WrestleMania. And they're building this up until mid-April, the two-night WrestleMania event in Las Vegas. Charlotte Flair, the woman, did want to come back, and she's back. She's gunning for Stratton's title. She's the SmackDown champion. There's that continued development with TNA and WWE. You're going to see more of that coming in the weeks and months to come, even for WrestleMania during this WrestleMania series. And Rollins' push against Drew McIntyre, that could be something coming up. And Dominic and Rey Mysterio may be together again soon, possibly WrestleMania, something happens. The two of them will be back together again because Rey Mysterio, 50 years of age, is talking this is his last year. So is Dakota, Cody Rhodes. Last developments on Friday Night SmackDown. Where's that going? I know what Triple H is doing with that. And the Wyatt Six and Alexa Bliss back together. Looks like that. The Wyatt Six have been out because Wyatt, the younger brother, whose Uncle Howdy had been injured. So maybe we're going to see them against Judgment Day. And what's with the New Day also attacking, making noise against Mysterio this weekend and so forth. I mean, crazy developments in WWE and a lot to be determined as we head into WrestleMania. How about this? You saw the Super Bowl Sunday. Vince McMahon on the sidelines with The Undertaker, and notice how much of a different look he has. He's not built at all. He's very lean and frail. A lot of talk on social media, the buzz that he is surviving some type of cancer. We don't know if that's official or what, but Vince McMahon definitely now without the mustache, but still very, very frail looking, and out there in the spotlight again as he's talking about having his own company with his son Shane, but very frail. That's Vince McMahon at Super Bowl this past Sunday in New Orleans. Go to AEW, Grand Slam, Saturday, Australia, after the NBA All-Star Game on TBS. Good idea. Let's see if the leading leads to some good ratings. And their ratings have not reached the million mark as of yet. TBS, TNT, and Max. It's Cope and Jay White against Motley, Claudio, and that's going to be some type of brass brawl as they're calling it. And then this, developing. AEW has released these three, and they're on their way probably back to WWE. McKellar Black, right there. He is gone, and so is Ricky Starks, who's all of a sudden in WWE. These guys had non-compete clauses. They go back anytime. WWE, when Ricky Starks, he was on NXT over the weekend, going to go under a different name when he hits the WWE roster real soon. And then Rusev, Mero, as he was, is he headed towards a WWE return? That all developing in WWE out of AEW releasers. Tony Khan cutting down the roster a bit, and there were just too many there. And where are their storylines going? Maybe we'll know more going into Grand Slam Australia this Saturday on TNT after the NBA All-Star Game. All right, with that, let's go to my favorite part of the wrestling segment now. Back with us this week, if we got him, Robbie Rebel and the Rebel Rant. And here he is. First of all, our condolences to you, Robbie, and your fiance on the passing of her uncle this past week. Give her our best. Hope you're doing well. Robbie, it's the Rebel Rant. We're timing you because we're running short on time this week. Go ahead.
Thank you, Rich Mancuso, and I really appreciate the call out. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is part of the program where we ponder and pontificate the problematic perplexities plaguing the wrestling business today. My name is Robbie Rebel. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram. Just look for the man in the top hat. He'll wink right back at you. And since we have such short time today, I just want to go over something where I'm going to take the gloves off today. Today, I'm actually really mad, and this is actually shoot. We're going to talk about locker room etiquette. First of all, if you don't come up and shake hands with anybody, there's a real big problem when you don't come up and shake hands with everybody. Everyone's there for business. Everyone's there to entertain. Everyone's there to have a good time. If you don't go in and shake hands with people, then there's an issue with someone already when they first come in. Second of all, if you don't keep your business out of this business, then go back into the parking lot and take care of it. Because if you have a problem with someone, you either go about it in a different way or in a different place, because you do not bring it back into the business. Third is acting like a worker. You're an actual worker, okay? You're going to work. You're going there to entertain people. Again, to go back to my point. You don't just go there and act like it's a free-for-all game. You listen to what you're told to do. You have to be smart about it. Third, I have a hard part with this one is smoking and drinking right at a venue before you go onto the show. It makes you lazy. It makes you weak. It makes you not be able to think on your feet. You have to be able to think on your feet, especially when it comes into a show. Because if you're doing something and let's say you botch a spot, unfortunately, you got to think on your feet. And you can't do that while you're inebriated. Third is washing your gear. If you want to go in and smell like a French a call girl, that's perfectly fine with me. Make sure you put a little Axe or something like that. But if you don't wash your gear, I don't want to wrestle your moldy ass to begin with. Third is showering. If you already come in smelling like a hot dog and a handshake to begin with, I don't want to wrestle you either. And I highly doubt any of the veterans or the boys are going to want to wrestle you. Third, brush your damn teeth. I know I don't have much teeth to work with anymore, but at least I make sure that my oral hygiene is good. If someone's breathing and calling a spot in my ear and all I can smell is the rotten tomatoes coming straight out of their mouth, I'm not going to work with them. I'm going to just smack them right in the face. Third and fourth is actually clipping your fingernails or making sure that they're clean. The women, it's a little bit of a different story. I get it because it's, what they got to do, what they got to do. But men, if you're not clipping your fingernails or washing your hands before you get in the ring with me, I'm going to get an infection. I'm going to get sick. I'm going to, I've had this happen one too many times. If you're not taking care of yourself and you're not clean, then I don't want anything to do with you in that locker room either. And another one is that I don't care if you have to go and get changed in another way, but bring a damn towel because no one wants to be singing, watching anything swinging around, especially in the locker room, because it's disrespectful, it's unnecessary, and you got to make sure that you got your stuff covered. So if you're not doing that either, unfortunately, no one's going to want to talk to you. You're the weirdo in the whole locker room.
Robbie, what got into you this week? You got me thinking here.
I'm shooting on some people, and I'm sick and tired of all these subpar humans just coming in and making a mockery out of the business, let alone doing all the stuff that I could talk about for all day. But this thing is the beginning of all of it. If you didn't go to a right school, they didn't teach you how to just take care of your gear. Wash it for God's sakes. Why aren't you brushing your teeth? Why aren't you making sure you shake hands with people? Why can't you just take your business outside of the locker room, go to the parking lot, beat each other up, have a drink afterwards, and then go and do whatever you got to do for the rest of the time?
Speaking of that, what do you got coming up? Do you have a match coming up this weekend or next weekend?
It's actually next weekend. It's going to be February 22nd in Farmingville for NYWC and the Psycho Circus. If you guys want to do that, go to nywc.com. Also, I will be at March 8th for CCW. You can look up CCW right on Facebook, especially if you look up my name on Facebook. You'll be able to see all those posts, and then you can keep up to what Robbie Rebel's doing. And also, there might be something coming in for ECPW during March or April. I'm not completely sure just yet, but there's something in the makings, and I got to defend my title, brother.
I know. One of them, One of them I'm going to walk you in the ring like you told me you wanted me to do. I'm going to try and make one of them. Most of all, I got to make sure, most of all, Robbie, that I have good hygiene. Otherwise, I'm going to get a lecture like my late mom and dad you would probably top that. So I'll make sure my hygiene is impeccable for you.
I'm not anyone's parent, but someone's got to say something about this. This has been said one too many times, and people still don't listen to it.
Okay, well, I'm listening, and I'm sure a lot of people are here at Keeping the Ring. The Rebel Ramp, Robbie Rebel. Thanks again, my friend. We'll talk to you next week. Keep it in the ring.
Thank you.
Thank Robbie Rebel. Got a lesson in hygiene right there, Thomas, didn't we? Back in a moment. We'll wrap up Keeping in the Ring with the nostalgia. We're going to go a little over the hour tonight. Not much. Just Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. Stay with us.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
I don't know if we could ever top Robbie Rebel every week here on the program. My social media handles, Rich Mancuso, X, Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso, on Instagram as well. Read my content, Latinosports.com, String Punk Entertainment, and other places. And, of course, like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, String Punk Entertainment, and the Facebook page. Like that, Keep It in the Ring. Nostalgia time on the program as we wrap this up. For February 13th, 1952, there he is, the great Rock. He was the Rock. Rocky Marciano, the heavyweight champ, stopped Lee Sobol in 6 rounds, non-title, improving his record at 39-0 at the heavyweight bout in Philadelphia Convention Hall, Fight Capital USA at that time as well. He won the heavyweight title later that year, defeating the great Hall of Famer, also late Jersey Joe Walcott. Of course, Rocky Marciano, undefeated heavyweight champ, his life cut too short. Brockton, Mass. Proud son in a plane crash, unfortunately, private plane crash. 49-0 until Floyd Mayweather Jr. eclipsed that record at 50-0. My hero, The Rock, Rocky Marciano. And February 14, 1951, Sugar Ray Robinson, the Hall of Famer, knocked out Jake LaMotta, another one from the Bronx that I admired so well. 13-round world middleweight title, Chicago Stadium, 6th and final fight with the title, St. Valentine's Day Massacre. That's what it was. That's what it was. That's why I say use this because Valentine's Day is tomorrow, and happy Valentine's Day to all of you. Because LaMotta took a beating, and that's why it was called the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in boxing history. Robinson won 5 of the 6 fights they fought. That was a great war and rivalry between the two. And February 19th, 2000, recent fame, Eric Morales defeated Marco Antonio Barrera. These two had some great fights. He retained the super bantamweight title in Las Vegas, the first of their great trilogy. Controversial also was the first fight by split decision, Eric Morales over Marco Antonio Barrera. 2 Mexican warriors in boxing history. Well done. That's the nostalgia bag this week. I love doing that every week, going back in time. Finally, I noticed this today. According to Sportico, a website that does statistics and stuff, Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury combined for $260 million in their purses and revenue combined, gate, pay-per-view, whatever, in their 2 fights in Saudi Arabia last year. And boxing, and out of 100 athletes that made the most money, last year, 5 fighters were in the top 20 or so, which makes sense because boxing and has the streaming networks and the money's out there now with the kings and princes, the Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Inoue, the great champion from Japan, was in the top 5. He would top rank as well. So that was interesting. Look out for that. I might be doing a column on that for latinosports.com in a week or so. But very interesting statistic. All we got to do is go on, find out more on that website, Spotico.com. They always do interesting things. I wish they do more boxing, though, but many don't. But we do here every week. I keep it in the ring every Thursday night live. 8 p.m. Eastern, my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Like, comment, and subscribe. My thank you, the Rebel Rant again, Robbie Rebel. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't know where it's coming from, but it's enjoyable. And to Thomas, behind the scenes again. Tom, come on in once again. Thank you. You do a great job, my friend. Great colleague. I'll see you at ringside tomorrow night, right?
Yep, I'll be there. I'll be I'll be floating around, but I'll be ringside and to the right of you because you'll be in the press row. But I'll be around like I always am. I'm
All
floating
right,
right
we'll
when
check in with
they
each
get ring
other.
walks.
I'll
Yeah,
be there early, about 4:35, 4:40 on Valentine's Day.
yeah.
I don't
Well,
have a
I'm gonna check to
Valentine
see
right
what
now, so
time. We got to check to see
all
what
right.
time they're gonna let us in because they'll keep us out there until
I think they're letting people the media in at 4:30 from what I read on the advisory, but we'll double check that and go out together. Thank you, Thomas. We're going to run out of here.
You
See
got
you
it.
next week as well on the program. Thank you all for watching every week here and this week in particular. Don't forget to reach me on my social media. This is Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. Great hour. Went fast as always. And to all of you, as I always say, stay well, be good to each other. Most of all, God bless. Just keep it in the ring. Till next week, live, 8 p.m. Eastern on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. I'm Rich Mancuso. As always, keep it in the ring. Thank you.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.